Imagine handing over a check smaller than what most folks drop on a used pickup truck and walking away holding the keys to a 3-bedroom home tucked deep into the Kentucky hills. No mortgage hanging over your head. No landlord knocking on the door. Just your monthly Social Security check covering the rest of your life. Sounds like a fantasy, right? These 10 Kentucky towns are quietly making it real for retirees who know exactly where to look. Let's start at the top of the list and work our way down to the absolute cheapest hidden gem on the board. Number 10. 116 Wolf Hollow Road, Baxter, Kentucky, $124,900. Our countdown begins deep in the Cumberland Mountains in the far southeastern corner of the state, in a tiny Harlan County town called Baxter. This is serious coal country, the kind of place where the mountains wrap around you like an old quilt, and every winding road seems to follow a creek bed straight into the hills. Baxter sits just 15 minutes from the bigger town of Harlan itself, and if you ever feel the itch for a real city, Knoxville, Tennessee is only about 2 hours south down the interstate. The home carries a price tag of around $125,000, and for that number, you are walking into a 3-bedroom, 1-bath place stretching across roughly 1,200 square feet of living space. That is plenty of room for a retired couple to move around without bumping elbows in the kitchen every morning. The listing goes all out with 80 photos, so you can basically walk through every room from your couch before you even think about making an offer. However, Baxter is not just about the house itself. The town sits right on the edge of the Kentucky State Forest, so if you love trout fishing, hunting deer in the fall, or parking yourself on a porch, listening to nothing but birds and wind rustling through the trees, this place is going to spoil you rotten. Harlan County has a cost of living running roughly 30% below the national average, groceries stay cheap at the local IGA, and Kentucky sports some of the lowest property taxes in the entire country. Your yearly tax bill here would land under $1,000. Baxter sets the standard for what a dignified retirement home actually looks like before we start slashing these price tags further. Now, let's head north and watch the numbers drop fast. Number 9. 125 Water Avenue, Olive Hill, Kentucky, $109,900. Trading the coal mountains of Harlan County for the rolling hills of northeastern Kentucky, we land in Olive Hill, in Carter County. The location here is a sneaky little advantage because you sit roughly halfway between Lexington and Huntington, West Virginia. Ashland is about an hour and 20 minutes east for serious shopping, and Moorhead is just 30 minutes south, home to Moorhead State University and a respectable hospital system. This property is priced at around $110,000 and punches way above its weight class. For that money, you are getting 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and roughly 1,500 square feet of living space on a tidy little lot. 2 bathrooms at this price is almost unheard of in 2026, and that one detail alone makes this place a smart pick for a retired couple ready to stop sharing a sink every morning. Olive Hill itself is a friendly small town of about 1,500 people, and the locals proudly claim it as the birthplace of country singer Tom T. Hall, whose music put the town on the map decades ago. However, the real draw sits just outside the town limits. Carter Caves State Resort Park is less than 15 minutes away, offering miles of hiking trails, underground cave tours that feel straight out of an old adventure movie, a stocked lake, and a lodge restaurant that locals swear serves the best breakfast in 3 counties. Grayson Lake is another short drive away whenever boating season rolls around. Carter County runs about 25% cheaper than the national average to live in, and the median property tax stays under $600 a year. With the average Social Security retirement check hitting around $2,000 a month in 2026, a retiree could cover this mortgage-free home, the utilities, the groceries, and still have breathing room left over for the little joys that make retirement worth living. Ready to see what happens when we finally break that 6-figure barrier? Our next stop is going to catch you off guard. Number 8, 3108 Madison Street, Paducah, Kentucky, $99,900. Now we swing all the way across the state to far western Kentucky and land in Paducah, the most well-known and developed town on this entire countdown. Paducah is a genuine river city, sitting at the exact spot where the Tennessee River meets the mighty Ohio River, giving it a waterfront vibe that most cheap hometowns cannot even dream about. Here is where your jaw starts hitting the floor. For just under $100,000, you get 4 full bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a massive 2,000 square feet of house. That is literally twice the size of most listings at this price point anywhere else in America. The town has roughly 27,000 people, a real walkable downtown filled with restaurants and coffee shops, and it actually holds a UNESCO Creative City designation for its world-famous quilting arts scene. The National Quilt Museum sits right downtown and pulls in tourists from across the globe every single year. But what truly makes this city special for retirees is the amenities you can actually use every day. Baptist Health Paducah gives you a solid regional hospital with specialists for just about everything. The historic Market House Theater puts on live shows year-round, and the Paducah Riverwalk is perfect for peaceful evening strolls along the Ohio. With 4 whole bedrooms, a retiree could easily rent out a room or 2 for extra monthly income if Social Security alone ever starts feeling tight. Paducah hands you city conveniences with small-town prices, and that combination is rare in 2026. The deals keep getting better from here, though, so let's keep moving east. Number 7, 131 Means Avenue, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, $99,900. Still in western Kentucky but heading southeast, we arrive in Hopkinsville, the biggest actual town on our entire list with around 31,000 residents. You get that quiet, small-town life during the week, and then world-class dining, live music, and top-tier healthcare wait for you just down I-24 whenever the mood strikes. The listing holds firm at just under $100,000 for 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and roughly 950 square feet, built back in 1960 with that solid mid-century construction they simply do not bother with anymore. The town itself carries a fun claim to fame as the exact point of totality during the 2017 solar eclipse, which put it on the international map for astronomy fans and even earned it the nickname Eclipseville among the locals. Now the house is compact, and I know some folks will hear that square footage and wince a little. But here is the truth. That size is the retirement sweet spot for a whole lot of people. Less house means lower heating bills during cold Kentucky winters, cheaper cooling during humid July afternoons, and way less to clean on the weekends when you would rather be fishing or visiting the grandkids. The real story in Hopkinsville, though, is the infrastructure you get for your money. Jenny Stewart Medical Center handles any healthcare needs right in town. You have a full Walmart supercenter, multiple grocery chains, and Fort Campbell military base just south of town keeps the local economy rock solid and the roads well maintained year-round. For a single retiree pulling in that average monthly check, this place is practically do the math on a napkin doable. Now, let's head east and find out what happens when we put you just 20 minutes from a real city. Number 6. 114 Magnolia Street, Winchester, Kentucky. $99,000. Winchester is where this list gets seriously interesting because the real estate game here comes down to three things: location, location, and location. Winchester sits in Clark County. Its major hospitals, the University of Kentucky campus, the famous horse farms, and Bluegrass Airport for cheap flights anywhere. That kind of proximity to a real city usually drives home prices straight through the roof. Yet somehow Winchester is still quietly sitting here with a $99,000 listing, and the deal is hard to believe. For that money, you get 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, roughly 900 square feet of living space, and a solid quarter-acre lot. That is more than enough yard for a vegetable garden, a friendly dog, and a few tomato plants without turning maintenance into a second career. Built back in 1945, the house carries that old Kentucky charm, complete with real hardwood floors and craftsmanship you simply cannot buy anymore. The town itself is a charming little place of about 19,000 people, and it holds a fun claim to fame as the birthplace of Ale 81, a ginger citrus soda that Kentuckians have been absolutely obsessed with since the 1920s. But what really makes Winchester shine is the walkable historic downtown, packed with local shops, antique stores, the lead center for the arts for live performances, and a thriving small business scene that keeps getting better every year. Because you are so close to Lexington, you get full access to Baptist Health Lexington and UK Healthcare, one of the top medical systems in the entire region. Winchester gives retirees the calm of small-town living paired with big city medical care. Just 20 minutes down is 64. The prices keep dropping from here, though, so let's roll into the next one. Number 5. 800 Huffs, Run Road, Grayson, Kentucky, $94,000. Our next stop takes us back to Carter County in northeastern Kentucky, where this home is listed at around $94,000 for 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and roughly 1,150 square feet, built in the early 1960s. Grayson serves as the county seat, a friendly little town of about 4,000 people, and it sits right along Interstate 64, which changes everything about the location. A lot of cheap Kentucky homes end up miles down twisty back roads that feel cut off from the world. Grayson keeps you connected to a real highway instead. The house itself carries that classic mid-century feel with 3 proper bedrooms, giving retirees room for a dedicated guest room, a craft room, a home office, or a little library stacked with paperbacks and Louis L'Amour westerns. The real star of living here, though, is Grayson Lake State Park, sitting just 10 minutes south of town. We are talking about roughly 1,500 acres of clear water surrounded by towering sandstone cliffs that look straight out of a classic Western movie. The lake serves up fishing, boating, hiking, and one of the prettiest campgrounds in all of eastern Kentucky. The town itself also has a Walmart, a local hospital called Three Rivers Medical Center, and even Kentucky Christian University, which keeps things lively with student events and cultural happenings year-round. Grayson is the kind of place where your social security check starts feeling like enough to live on, not just enough to survive. Now let's trade the lake for a river and see what we find next. Number 4. 118 Bellevue Lane, Quincy, Kentucky, $90,000. Quincy is a tiny, quiet river community tucked into Lewis County in far northeastern Kentucky, sitting right on the Ohio River, directly across from the Ohio state line. The nearest real town is Maysville, about 20 minutes west, and you are roughly an hour from both Portsmouth, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky. This is rural living in the best sense of the phrase, the kind of place where the Ohio River rolls by slowly and the mornings are deeply, beautifully quiet. At $90,000, you get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home with around 700 square feet, sitting on a generous half-acre lot. Yes, that square footage is admittedly tight, and I will not sugarcoat that. But the listing specifically calls out that the property sits close to town and right near the river and the local boat dock area, which is exactly what river-loving retirees dream about when they plan their golden years. Think about this daily routine for a second. You stroll 5 minutes down to the dock, untie a small fishing boat, and spend your morning pulling catfish and bass out of the Ohio River while the sun climbs slowly over the water. That is the actual daily life this house quietly offers. The half-acre lot is where this place really earns its spot on the list though, because you have room for a big vegetable garden, a small workshop, a chicken coop, or a couple of Adirondack chairs parked under a shade tree for afternoon naps. Lewis County boasts one of the lowest costs of living in the entire state. Property taxes on a home like this would run under $500 annually, which is basically nothing by modern standards. For a retiree who wants direct river access, quiet nights full of crickets and owls, and a home small enough to be completely low maintenance, Quincy at this price is seriously hard to beat. From here on out, every single listing drops under 80 grand. Let's dive into the real bargains on the back half of this countdown. Number 3. 26 Todd Street, Livingston, Kentucky, $79,900. We officially cross into under 80,000 territory with Livingston, and this is where the math on retiring with Social Security alone starts making obvious sense. Livingston is a tiny town of about 200 people in Rockcastle County, sitting in central Kentucky, right off Interstate 75, about an hour south of Lexington and an hour and a half north of Knoxville, Tennessee. The location is a sneaky advantage a lot of folks miss, because I-75 happens to be the main north-south artery through the entire eastern United States. That means you are never truly stuck, isolated, or cut off from anywhere you might want to visit on a road trip. This home is priced at around $80,000 for a cozy 2-bedroom, 1-bath place with roughly 1,050 square feet sitting on a fifth of an acre lot. The listing specifically highlights a low-maintenance metal roof, vinyl siding, a proper front porch for sipping morning coffee, and wooded backyard views that turn brilliant shades of orange and red every fall. Here is a detail most folks overlook. That metal roof alone can save a retiree $10,000 or more over the next 20 years. Why? Because metal roofs last 40 to 70 years, while standard asphalt shingle roofs typically need replacing every 2 decades. And roof replacements in 2026 are brutally expensive no matter where you live. But the real charm of Livingston is the setting itself. You are surrounded by the Daniel Boone National Forest, which spreads across over 700,000 acres of the most beautiful wooded terrain in the eastern United States. Hiking trails, hidden waterfalls, underground caves, and the world-famous Red River Gorge all sit within easy driving distance for weekend adventures whenever you want them. The town rests right along the Rockcastle River, and the nearest real amenities wait in Mount Vernon, just 10 minutes up the road, where you have grocery stores, a hospital, and a handful of local restaurants. This is one of the most realistic Social Security retirement buys on the entire list. Getting excited yet? The top two are even better than this one. Number 2, 325 Oakland Street, Burkesville, Kentucky, $75,000. Burkesville is the kind of hidden gem that makes you scratch your head and wonder why more retirees have not already packed up their things and moved here. This is a friendly town of about 1,500 people in Cumberland County, sitting in south-central Kentucky, right on the Cumberland River, and a short drive from the Tennessee state line. The closest bigger town is Glasgow, about 45 minutes northwest, and Bowling Green sits around an hour and a half away for any serious shopping trips or specialized medical needs. Burkesville itself holds its own though, serving as the Cumberland County seat with its own small hospital called Cumberland County Hospital, plus a downtown square that looks frozen in time in the best possible way, complete with old brick buildings, a historic courthouse, and locally owned shops lining the streets. The listing comes in at exactly $75,000, and for that number, you get 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, roughly 1,100 square feet, and a perfectly normal quarter-acre lot. 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms at this price point is almost unheard of in 2026 anywhere in America, and the listing is backed up by a generous 38 photos, which is a huge signal that the seller is proud of the place and has nothing to hide from buyers. But the real magic of living in Burkesville is the lifestyle that surrounds the home itself. Dale Hollow Lake sits just 20 minutes south of town, and this is one of the clearest, most stunning lakes in the entire country. Dale Hollow is famous nationally for record-breaking smallmouth bass fishing, and the water itself is so crystal clear it looks like it belongs somewhere in the Caribbean instead of the middle of Kentucky. A retiree pulling that monthly Social Security check could live here comfortably and still have plenty left over for lake days, fishing trips, and the occasional dinner out at the local diner. And now, saving the absolute best for last, let's reveal the number 1 pick on our entire countdown. Number 1501 West Main Street, Springfield, Kentucky, $75,000. Number 1 on the list is Springfield, and this one might just be the best overall retirement package of the entire bunch. Springfield serves as the Washington County seat in central Kentucky, and the location here is the secret weapon that makes everything else fall into place beautifully. You sit just 30 minutes from Bardstown, officially known as the bourbon capital of the world, about 45 minutes from Lexington, and roughly an hour south of Louisville. That means you have direct access to 2 major metropolitan areas, an international airport, world-class hospitals, the University of Kentucky campus, and the entire legendary Kentucky Bourbon Trail, all within an hour of your front door. The town itself is a charming little place of about 3,000 people, with a walkable historic downtown and deep American roots as the ancestral home of Abraham Lincoln's family. The Lincoln Homestead State Park sits literally 5 minutes outside of town, on the exact spot where Abraham Lincoln's father, Thomas Lincoln, grew up before heading off to start a family of his own out on the frontier. This home is listed at exactly $75,000 for 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and roughly 1,150 square feet of living space sitting right on Main Street. The walkability here is incredible because you can stroll straight to the courthouse, the post office, local diners, and the downtown shops without ever needing to start your car for everyday errands. But the real winner is the combination of absolutely everything together. You are surrounded by rolling horse farms, working bourbon distilleries, and famous bluegrass countryside that looks like a postcard in every direction you turn. For 75 grand, which works out to roughly 3 years of the average annual Social Security benefit, you get a move-in-ready home in a charming historic town with real big city access just down the road. That is the absolute definition of retiring on Social Security alone without giving up the things that make life worth enjoying. Springfield earns the top spot because it proves you do not have to choose between affordable and livable. You can have both, and this home is the receipt that proves it beyond any doubt. If you made it to the end, subscribe. We drop new videos on affordable retirement and hidden real estate every week. Click the video on screen for more.